Right, folks, welcome. I think everyone's in who is waiting. So hello, everyone. Welcome to Considering Alternative Programs, Next Steps, and Future Options. My name is Nagarsh. I'm an academic advisor in the Office of the Registrar. Joining me is Safa, who's an academic and financial aid advisor in the Office of the Registrar, and Jamie, who's a career counselor from the Career Center. So we're going to get started. Here we go. So just a little bit of housekeeping. So we are recording this session. So if you ever need to refer back to it, it'll be available on our video library on the Office of the Registrar website. And just some general tips. Please make sure your microphone is muted. If you have any questions or comments, you can use the chat function to do so. But we do recommend waiting until the end of the session to ask any questions, as they might get answered throughout the presentation. If you have any technical issues, please feel free to use the raise your hand feature and one of us will reach out to help. And then lastly, try to be in the moment for the presentation. So try minimizing distractions, putting your phone on do not disturb, closing tabs, anything you need to do. All right. So some goals we have, or learning objectives that we have for this presentation, is we want you to be able to reflect on the relationship of your academic programs and your future career options or professional or personal goals. Be able to clearly identify program eligibility for all the different types of programs at UTM. Articulate what a legitimate combination of post or program, so you'll see we use that word interchangeably, is, and what combinations may be available to you. Be able to explain the timing and the process of enrolling into your programs, including notions of adding temporary or placeholder programs, dropping programs, and requesting alternative programs. Understanding your next steps in transitioning and creating a new academic plan. And then be able to identify university services and resources available to support you in that transition. So some of you who might be joining this session maybe aren't eligible for your program yet. Maybe you didn't earn 4.0 credits to be eligible to apply to the program you want. Maybe you're missing certain courses that are required or certain grades in those courses. Or maybe your CGPA didn't meet the cutoff, especially for our more competitive programs. So what does that mean for you? Some solutions to that is completing the missing credits, whether those are the required courses or completing credits to reach 4.0, and then aiming to apply in the next round. Or maybe it's using the next session to improve your CGPA to retry for a program that you're interested in. So before we even get into programs, it's important that we understand the difference between the program types. So each program at UTM is assigned a type, and there's either type 1, type 2, or type 3. And the difference between the types dictates how you can get into those programs. So type 1 programs are the unlimited enrollment programs. So these ones don't have entry requirements and they have unlimited space. So if you apply an ACORN, it's automatic enrollment. Because of this as well, you don't need to apply to these programs during specific program application periods. And so you can apply anytime or once you have 4.0 full credit equivalents or credits. Now, type 2 and type 3 programs are both limited enrollment. What that means is there are specific entry requirements that are listed in the academic calendar. So that can be specific courses, specific grades in those courses, sometimes CGPA. And because of that, these programs you can only apply to during the program application periods. So round 1 is the round that happens in spring. So that one would have just passed. And then round 2 is the one we're currently in for the summer. All the dates and deadlines that are specific to both round 1 and round 2 in a given academic year is available on the program selection guide under the How to Apply page. Now, the biggest difference between a type 2 and a type 3 program is space. So type 2 programs have unlimited space. So as long as you meet whatever the minimum entry requirements are, you should get into the program. With type 3 programs, these programs have limited seats, meaning that meeting the minimum that's listed on the academic calendar doesn't guarantee you're going to get into the program. And so usually you want to be aiming for well above to give yourself the best chance. All right. So maybe you didn't make it into the program for whatever which reason we just mentioned earlier. So what are your next steps for applying to your program later? Some things to consider is, are you close to meeting the entry requirements? And with that, then, is it academically realistic and then financially feasible for you to apply to the program next year? So if you answer yes, and you are close to meeting the program entry requirements for your preferred program, you can use the CGPA calculator to determine if this is an attainable goal. So an example is if you're looking at bio for health science as a major, that program needs a CGPA of 2.5. So you can use the calculator to look at, okay, if I do X amount of credits, what grades would I need to achieve a 2.5? And see, is that mathematically feasible or is that realistically feasible for you? And some other things to help you plan your next steps is setting your academic goals, considering timelines as well. So whether that's the timeline for when you can enter the program. So if it's going to take you a while to raise your CGPA or complete these credits, but also if graduating in X amount of years is something that's important to you and is one of your goals, you want to consider, is that possible with the pathway I'm pursuing? Considering what grades are needed. So again, using the calculator to see, is it my CGPA I need to boost when you have a specific grade in a course? Tuition costs is another one, and this is specific for our deregulated programs. So some of the programs at UTM are deregulated, which means that their tuition fees are billed at a higher rate. So you want to make sure you're doing that research ahead of time to understand what that would mean for programs. And then the last thing is enrollment controls. So some departments will place enrollment controls on the upper year courses for programs. And there's two main types. First type is called priority. So this means X groups of students will have access to the course first, sometimes students who are already in the program, and then it opens up at a later date for the rest of UTM. The other type is restrictive. So restricted courses are only available to students who are actively enrolled into one of the programs listed. So that'll impact things like program entry, program completion, graduation, all of that. So now exploring your options. So after doing a bit of that consideration, answering and reflecting on some of those questions, think of, is it realistic then to apply next year or next round? If your answer is no, or you're unsure, that's when you might want to consider an alternative pathway. Now, an important note is that modifying your plan doesn't mean you failed. I can't tell you, and I'm sure Safa agrees, the amount of students who come into UTM wanting to pursue a very specific program, but maybe their first year they're taking the courses and they don't feel it's right for them, or they take a course in a new field and decide that's a better pathway for them. Change is natural as you go through university. All right. Some more things to reflect on is for the programs that either you wanted to go into or you initially were interested in, consider, are you feeling pressure from external influences, whether that's family, friends, work? Then considering with that, can you achieve your long-term goals, whether that's further education goals, career goals, professional goals in a different way? Another thing we really recommend students do when they are looking at alternative program options is to reflect on their academic record. Look at what courses you took, what courses did you enjoy, what courses did you do well in? Could those become program options for you? And if so, look at the entry requirements and the enrollment controls for those programs. So just some general tips. Combine programs to increase your marketability and skills. Consider programs that enhance your individual development. You can use the academic calendar to determine all the different programs and their program entry requirements. The program selection guide is a really great resource for this as well. It'll tell you everything and anything you need to know about the programs available, the difference between types, when to apply, all of that. And the last tool is Degree Explorer. So Degree Explorer is not only a good tool to monitor your progress throughout your degree, but it also has a really useful planner tool function. So on the planner, courses to plan out your degree, but you can also add hypothetical programs. So you can view what the requirements are and map out what does it look like if I do these two programs versus if I do this combination. And that'll help give you completion timelines as well. All right, so now we're going to get into some student scenarios. So our first student is Noor. Noor thought she was going to study sociology and criminology, but she didn't enjoy her first year classes and wants to make a change. Her top two concerns are she isn't sure what program to do, and she doesn't want all of the first year courses she took to be a waste. So in doing a bit of reflecting, Noor knows she wants to pursue law school after graduation. And she knows with law school she can pursue any program because a high CGPA is more important than the program of study she pursues. She took a look at her academic record and she saw that her best grades were in her elective courses, ANT 101 and ANT 102. So then she took a look and she saw for the anthropology program, she needs the course ISP 100, which she hasn't taken yet. She isn't sure what other programs can use her first year social credits. So what are her next steps from here? First is to review the academic calendar some more and see what other programs might be a good fit. We have, I think, around 180 programs or more. So there are a lot of options. So it's good to do that research and take some time to do that. Next would be meeting with an academic advisor to make sure, is she enrolled into the right courses to help her achieve her academic goals? Is she on track to apply to her programs? Then also meet with a career counselor to see what does a change in her program mean for her chances of getting into law school. So if Noor decides to apply for the anthropology specialist and the ethics, law, and society minor programs, what does that mean for her? So academic plan and next steps. So she'll need to add a temporary program combination as a placeholder. So what this is referring to is when students have 4.0 credits, they need to be in a minimum program combination, which is that one specialist, 2 majors, or major and 2 minors, in order to access course enrollment for the next session. Now, when students are applying to their program in round 2 or in a future round, course enrollment happens in July, so typically you're not hearing back from your programs until after. And so you do want to be in some sort of combination, and that's where those type 1 programs can be really useful because they are auto-enroll. She needs to take ISP 100 and earn a minimum grade of 63%. She can take some 200 level anthropology courses and proceed as if she was in the anthropology program already. And then she can also pursue the Ethics Law Society minor, where her first year sociology courses can be used towards the program. For the financial cost, both programs are regulated, and so her fees would remain the same. So now we consider, can Noor achieve her goals with an alternate plan? So with the specialist in anthropology, it is a type 2 program and it has no deregulated fees, and she can request the program on Acorn in the next round once she completes ISP 100. For the minor in Ethics Law Society, it's a type 1 program. So type 1s, as I mentioned, can be entered at any time, and she can just work towards completing it. And she already has courses counting towards this program because it'll use those social courses that she took in her first year towards the program requirements. So she will just have to finish the remaining philosophy requirements. So Noor modified her plan with the support of her academic advisor and career counselor and was able to finish her UTM degree with a CGPA of 3.85 and applied to Dalhousie for law school. All right, our next student is Carrie Ann. So Carrie Ann has 2 goals after her first year. She wants to get into the major or the computer science major program and the major in linguistics. And she also wants to complete the UTM co-op internship program to get some professional work experience in her preferred industry. So the program entry requirements for computer science include a minimum CGPA of 3.0, minimum grade of 80% in CSA 148, and a minimum grade of 70% in Math 102, as well as completion of ISP 100 and a first-year calculus pair. An important note about the computer science major program That's an example of a type 3 program. So the numbers that we're using are the cutoffs that were from this past round one, so round one 2026, but it can vary year to year and between rounds. So this is just to give a rough estimate of what Carrie Ann would be looking for. So then for the linguistics major, the program requires minimum grade of 63 in Lin 101 and Lin 102. So after her first year, Carrie Ann was able to get a CGPA of 2.4. She earned a grade of 68 in CSC 148, a 70 in Lin 101, a 60 in Lin 102. She failed Math 102, but she was able to pass ISP 100. So she didn't quite meet the requirements for both of her majors. She has 3.5 full credit equivalents or 3.5 credits, and she originally was in 5, but she ended up dropping her elective of Battalion 100, which is a full credit course. So Carrie Ann knows she wants to do computer science, but decides she doesn't want to do the major. What can she do to still achieve her program and UTM CIP or co-op internship program goals? So the first step, gather information, do a bit of that research. So meeting with the program advisor, the department advisor, looking at the UTM CIP eligibility, meeting with an academic advisor to discuss what program options are available, and meeting with a career counselor to explore some career options as well. So maybe as she met with the different supports, they found a minor in computer science, major in linguistics, and a minor in geospatial data science as a possible combination for her. So for this slide, I'll pass it over to Jean.
Okay, so when Carrie Ann is meeting with a career counselor, there's some questions that she might want to ask. If you can just put the questions on. So, of course, now that programs have changed slightly, if I get into my programs, what sorts of careers are open to me? If I don't get into my programs of choice, can I still pursue these careers? If I choose not to try to get into my preferred program, what other options might be better for me? And then what kinds of careers would be open to me in this case? And all great questions. Some of the actions that she could take would be to reflect on and discuss why this career. So often in the Career Center, we will kind of start with like, what's your motivation for this program and this career, and how do these things connect? How is it a fit or not a fit for you? We often will offer resources. So Carrie Ann might be offered resources to research careers and generate Plan B ideas. She might want to discuss strengths, interests, and aptitudes that can point to other programs. And then as well, we know that with careers, it's not just what you learn in class, but what you do outside of class as well. So Carrie Ann might want to gain skills and experience outside of class to explore and prepare for various careers.
So after having a discussion, can Carrie Ann achieve her goals with an alternate plan? So with the minor in computer science, it is a limited enrollment program, but it does not have any deregulated fees. The program entry requirements are just a minimum grade in CSC 148 and Math 102, so not a CGPA, and that minimum grade gets determined annually by the department. Carrie Ann can request the program on Acorn next March, so we'll say maybe she's not doing summer, provided that she's on track to getting 4.0 credits. Another note is certain departments or certain programs, when looking at if students have 4.0 credits, some don't include courses where they were assessed as credit, no credit, in which you got the credit, so received a CR notation. So it's really important that you read the academic calendar to make sure you know what the entry requirements are, and to make sure, especially if you're deciding if you should credit, no credit a course, to look at, will this impact program entry? Do I have 4 credits with a grade? So academic calendar will be your best friend for that. Now for the minor in geospatial data science, this is also a type 1 program, so Carrie Ann can add this on Acorn at any time and just work towards finishing it. The major in linguistics, so reviewing the program entry requirements, this program actually has a separate set of requirements for students who are applying after their second year. And in this case, it's a grade of 67 in at least 2 out of the 7 200-level linguistics courses that are listed in the academic calendar. And so similar to the minor in computer science, Carrie Ann would be able to request it after completing the requirements in the next round or next March. So Carrie Ann modified her academic plans with the support of an academic advisor, her career counselor, her financial aid advisor, and the department advisor, and was able to achieve her career goals. She was able to complete a 1-year co-op internship with Hydro One. For this next scenario, I'm going to pass it over to Safa.
Thank you, Nigarish. All right, so let's look at Alex now. So Alex has 2 main goals. Ultimately, Alex wants to apply for the Master of Management and Professional Accounting program, or what is referred to as MMPA for short, after graduation. Just a quick note, this program was paused for admission for the 2025-2026 cycle, but we will just use it as an example in Alex's case here. And to get to this ultimate goal, Alex wants to get into the Commerce Specialist program. Now, after his first year, Alex completed 4.0 credits and earned a CGPA of 1.46, meaning that Alex is on academic probation. And to get to the Commerce Specialist program, Alex will need a weighted average of the grades earned in the following courses that meets the program's annual admission cutoff. So Alex would need to complete the first year MAT calculus combination requirement and achieve at least a 63% in Eco 101, Eco 102, MGT 120, and MGM 101. And Alex, if Alex chooses to do the Math 133, in that case, Alex would also need a minimum grade of 63% in this course for program considerations. Just a quick important note about this. And being a type 3 program, Commerce Specialist, meeting the minimum entry requirements does not guarantee admission. So Alex would need to meet the weighted average cutoff, which is determined each year by the department. Right. So in this case, Alex maps out his grade goals using the CGPA calculator to determine and assess if it's still attainable to achieve these grades for program admission. Right, so now Alex worked really hard and is now back in good standing, but was still not able to meet the weighted average cutoff in the required courses to enter the Commerce Specialist program. So Alex still wants to apply for the Master of Management and Professional Accounting program. In this case, what are his next steps? So in the case of Alex and other students who may be in a similar position, educated, informed decision-making is important. And so Alex, in terms of next steps, Alex will meet with an academic advisor to determine alternate program options based on his interests and skills, and will meet with a career counselor to determine how he can still meet his goals and after graduation. Right. So I'm gonna turn it over to Jamie for this slide.
Great. So questions that Alex might want to ask during the Career Center consultation. What does it look like achieving my career vision in accounting? And what other options could I explore? How can I get skills and experience in business communication and leadership? And are there other similar programs maybe to the MMPA or other options that I can explore? And some suggested actions. If there's a particular career that you're interested in, it's great to speak to people in those careers currently. So speaking to early career CPAs, that's certified professional accountants, and recent grads about their work can help Alex get a sense of, is this career a good fit for me? What are some things I can do to get there? Researching different programs and going to virtual open houses, asking the reps questions, talking to current students in those programs can all be helpful ways to gather more information. And then look at different ways to build experience as well. So things like the work study program, economics internships, and then different employer recruitment events on campus, just to find different opportunities to build those skills outside of academics as well.
Great, thank you, Jamie. So Alex took Eco 101, Eco 102, and met the minimum 63% in each of these courses, as well as completed the calculus combination requirement. And so in this case, Alex will be eligible for the major in economics and would be able to apply for this major during the next round of program selection. So now the question is, can Alex still achieve his long-term career goals with an alternate program plan? And so if after reflection, a modified program plan allows Alex to complete a business-related program without the deregulated program fees that are associated with the Commerce Specialist program, and would also allow Alex to apply for the Master of Management and Professional Accounting program. The only difference is that it will take Alex 27 months to complete the program compared to a Bachelor of Commerce student who would complete the MMPA program within the 24-month stream. But Alex would still be able to achieve that goal of pursuing this MMPA program at that point. Right. So after careful consideration and speaking with the career center, the career counselor, and the academic advisor, Alex decided not to pursue the specialist in commerce. Alex discovered that he liked economics and calculus so much that, in fact, he's now doing a specialist in economics instead. So Alex looked at the academic calendar and reviewed the entry requirements for the economic specialist and met the minimum requirements and took the second 100 level economics courses to be able to apply for the specialist in economics and get to that program. Right. Right. So hopefully the examples and scenarios we went through have helped illustrate for you how it is possible to change your program pathways and still meet your long-term career goals and post-graduation plans. And in the examples we went through, we talked about some programs that require a minimum CGPA, and we also talked about using the CGPA calculator to assess and map out your CGPA goals. But there are also other tools and strategies to help you manage your CGPA and protect your CGPA to position you for program admission. And so these tools will be the tools that we will be talking about in the next few slides will be dropping courses before the academic deadline, the late withdrawal after the drop date, or what we refer to as LWD for short, the credit no credit option, and the second attempt for credit. Right, so what does it mean to drop a course before the academic deadline? So with this option, when you drop a course from your before the academic deadline, it is basically dropping the course from your academic record and CGPA. So there will be no record of this course on your transcript, and it will not have any impact on your CGPA. You may get some refund depending on when you drop the course. We do have a list of all of our academic and financial deadlines on the Office of the Registrar Important Dates page. So it's very important that you monitor and bookmark that and refer to it to be mindful of any upcoming deadline. Just a quick note as well, financial deadlines are usually much earlier than academic deadlines. So if you are considering to drop a course and looking to get some refund, be mindful of these financial deadlines. Dropping a course by the academic deadline may reduce your course load to part-time status, and that's very important to consider if for purposes like meeting the terms and conditions of a scholarship, or if you're an international student, there may be course load requirements. So in that case, you may want to consult with the International Education Center to confirm the course load requirements and implications of dropping courses on immigration or study permit, or for immigration for study permit purposes. Or if you're a student in receipt of government student aid like OSAB, then again, there may be implications of reducing your course load to part-time, so you may want to consult with the financial aid advisor in the Office of the Registrar to discuss about that. All right, and there is no credit limit when dropping courses by the academic deadline. You can drop as many courses as you wish for the duration of your studies, but as we have mentioned earlier, being mindful of how that may impact your course load status. And you would be able to manage this on Acorn, so you would be able to drop the course before the academic deadline on Acorn. And if you visit our UTM Office of the Registrar course enrollment page, you can read more information about this type of how you may drop courses on Acorn, and there will be a step-by-step guide in terms of like the instructions to follow to drop a course on Acorn. All right. So if you miss the deadline to drop a course by the academic deadline, then the only way to drop a course without a petition is to use this late withdrawal after the drop date LWD option. This option does not impact your CGPA. So if you use the late withdrawal option or the LWD option to drop a course, it will not have any impact on your CGPA, but you'll still be responsible for the course fees, so there will be no refund. The course will still show on your transcript, but it will be marked with an LWD notation once it's processed, and the approval is final. So once your LWD request is made and it's processed, you cannot request to have or be reinstated in that course. It does not reduce the number of credits taken per session, so it doesn't reduce your course load when you apply the LWD option to a course. And there is a limit of 3 credits towards this option. It is also worth noting that it may be seen as a red flag by some grad or professional schools. And so if you're looking to apply for grad school or professional school and concerned about how an LWD may impact may have any implications, you may want to reach out to the school directly and the school that you wish to apply to and inquire how an LWD may be viewed on your transcript for admission purposes. And also this request could be made online. So unlike the dropping courses by the academic deadline, that is done on Acorn, whereas the LWD is done through a form that is on our forms page on the UTM Office of the Registrar forms page. And you would have to submit that form by the relevant deadline for the course in question. So there is a deadline for the late withdraw option. If a course has an exam, you need to make sure that you drop this course or you use or submit the LWD option by the last day of classes in which the course is offered. If the course has no exam, you need to make sure that you submit the request before the due date of the final test or final assignment, whichever date comes first. So these deadlines are posted on our important dates page again, so be mindful of that. And you may refer to the UTM Office of the Registrar website, managing your courses page for more information on the LWD option. Right, so there's also the credit, no credit option that is one of the tools that you have access to. And when you apply a credit, no credit to a course, if you pass a course and get a 50% or higher, the course will be marked with a CR. So you'll receive a CR notation instead of a grade on your transcript. If you do not pass the course, then you'll receive an NCR notation. In either case, there will be no impact on your CGPA. Using the credit, no credit option does not reduce the number of credits taken per session, so it doesn't impact your course load status. There is a limit of 2 credits, so you cannot use the credit, no credit option for no more than 2 credits. Something else to note is that the credit, no credit option, if you apply credit, no credit, it cannot be used to meet program requirements. So it cannot be applied to any specialists or majors or minors that you're enrolled in. So if you're considering credit, no credit, it might be most suited for distribution requirements. So if you are taking a course to meet one of your distribution requirements and you expect to pass a course and get the credit, then this might be an option to consider. Another note is that as just like the LWD option, it might be seen as a red flag by some graduate or professional schools. So you might, again, may want to reach out directly to the graduate or professional school directly to ask how a credit, no credit may be viewed as on a transcript for admission purposes. This option is also managed on Acorn, and our UTM officers, Office of the Registrar Managing Your Courses page has more information about how to request a credit and no credit on Acorn and more information about this policy. All right. Second attempt for credit. You might have heard of this term, but if you are looking to repeat a past course to get a better mark for purposes of getting into your a program that you did not meet the requirement for, or for purposes of raising your CGPA, then you may utilize the second attempt for credit option. Generally speaking, when students to repeat a previously passed course, you're only allowed to repeat it once, regardless of the grade earned. And to repeat a previously passed course, you will not be able to actually enroll in that course yourself on Acorn. So there is a form that you will need to complete first for you to enroll in that repeated course, and that form is called the Course Enrollment Exception Form. So this form is to enroll you in the course, but it is different than the second attempt for credit form, which a lot of students may confuse between the two. So the second attempt for credit is basically a request to mark your second attempt grade count in your CGPA instead of the first. So the default would be when you enroll in a repeated course, the first attempt will be the one in your CGPA, and the second attempt will be marked as extra, unless you use the second attempt for credit option, where you can then mark the second attempt to be in your CGPA instead of the first. You can use the second attempt for credit only once, regardless of the grade earned. You can use it for up to 1 credit. And so there is a limit to how many times you can use the second attempt for credit option, but it can help improve your CGPA if you utilize this, especially if you expect to achieve a much higher grade in your second attempt. But both the second attempt for credit form and the course enrollment exception form have their own request periods and deadlines. So again, be mindful of each one of these, which are posted on the important dates page, and as well as the specific forms. So do click on the forms to get more information about upcoming and request periods for each of these. And as Nigarish mentioned earlier, we will be sharing the slides in PDF, so you'll have access to click on these links if you wish to review each of these options and read more about this. All right, so I'm going to pass it over to Jamie.
Great. So the image that's on the slide right now is a really common model that we use at the Career Center when we're working as career counselors, helping students explore and work towards their career goals. So the career wheel that's on the screen here, basically there's 2 parts to it. So if you look at the visual, you'll see at the top part, there is the darker blue and external. And we have things like labor market, work and leisure experience, educational background, and significant others. Then we also have internal aspects, which are in the lighter blue at the bottom. And so that's things like skills, interests, values, and personal style. So a couple of reasons I like to show this particular visual in this presentation. If you will notice, your educational background is only one piece out of 8 that influences your career, kind of things that impact your career goals. And so a lot of students think, for example, if I'm in this particular program, if I don't do a career related to that, I've wasted my time. Or sometimes people think, if I really want to get into this particular career, like the example of Alex with accounting, if I want to get into this accounting program, then I need to take the commerce degree. And in fact, that's not always the case, as you saw in some of our examples. And so, I think the important thing to remember is that your educational background is one piece of what will help you work towards those goals, but it's not the only thing that you want to consider. The second thing that I think is important is a lot of times students focus a lot on these external factors when they're thinking about their career. So they think about, what careers can I do because I have this particular program that I've taken, or my parents really want me to become a doctor, so that's what I'm pursuing. So significant others impacting the career, or, I know that there's a lot of careers in a particular area in the labor market. So maybe I want to be an accountant because I know there's a lot of accounting careers. But if you don't consider these internal factors, your skills, your interests, your values, and your personal style, those are the things that are most often associated with career satisfaction. So not to say that those external things aren't important, but a lot of times folks forget about the internal factors. And that plays a big part in your career satisfaction overall. So you might find that you come to the Career Center sometimes and you ask us, what can I do with a degree in X? And we might spend some time with you unpacking a little bit. What are you interested in? What are you good at? What are your values? Just to kind of help you figure out a career that's going to be a fit for you more holistically. So next slide. I think an important thing to know about the Career Center is we have a lot of different resources available. So a lot of what I'm talking about today, because we're talking about alternative programs, and often when you're thinking about program choices, you're thinking about that in terms of a particular career path, which is often this kind of explore careers piece. But we offer a ton of different services. And so the visual that you have on the screen right now is our Career Center model. And we have different resources that can help you assess yourself to figure out, what are the skills that I want to use? What are my interests? What are my personal styles? We have different things to help you gain experience, whether it's volunteer, part-time work, internships, summer jobs. We have, of course, I've been talking a lot about exploring career options, and we have a lot of resources for that. But even things to help you express skills, prepare for interviews, write your resume and cover letter, and then pursue learning. So a lot of people are thinking about taking further education after their undergrad. We can support you with that process, whether it's figuring out what you need in order to apply, supporting you with the application documents, helping you prepare for any graduate school interviews, all of that stuff. So I think what's important to know is that the Career Center is not just here for when you graduate. We want to support you wherever you are in your career journey throughout your education. Next slide. So ultimately, though, I know, well, I said your career is bigger than just what can I do with a degree in this particular area. That is, I would say, one of the most common questions we get from students in the career counseling space. And I just want to kind of spend some time debunking the myth that there's a singular path and program that leads to a specific career. So common examples that I hear, medical school, if I want to go to medical school, I need to take a life sciences degree. In fact, any of the medical schools in Ontario do not have a specific degree requirement. There are some medical schools that have prerequisites, some more than others. Most of those prerequisites will involve at least a full credit in biology life sciences. So it is good to get some courses in that area, especially because, to be honest with you, if you're going to be taking 4 years of med school that's focused on that, you probably want to see if it's a fit and if you like it. But there are lots of different programs that you could take and still be eligible for medical school. And so, the reality is there's not just one program that will lead to one career path. Also important to understand that a lot of people change careers in their lifetime and alternate paths exist. So most people change not just jobs, but actually full careers more than once in their lifetime. So that's a full pivot into a completely different industry or type of career. As we said with the career wheel, you're more complex and can't be reduced to just a program of study when choosing your careers. And then the other thing to think about is that, like, for a lot of different, whether you're thinking further education or careers after graduation, especially if you're going straight into the workplace after you graduate your undergrad, very rarely does an employer care that you got a really high GPA. Most of the times employers wonder, did you get your degree? And then what sort of experience do you have where you can showcase your skills? And so that experience piece is an important part of things too. So what's important is to take some time to really assess your preferences and your strengths. And then think about, okay, how does the program I'm taking connect to these? How do I get to that career that I want? And it will just help you make more meaningful career choices as you go. So next slide. The other thing to keep in mind is that regardless of the degree you get, you're developing really important transferable skills that translate into things you'll use in most jobs, regardless of the industry or field that you get into. So communication, whether that's interpersonal, you're doing the dreaded group projects that nobody loves, but we all have to do, or written, all those essays that you're writing are developing your written communication skills, or lab reports you're writing, any sort of oral presentation you're doing, that's developing your communication skills. Research. So being able to understand how to find the information you need, especially in a world where information changes so rapidly. This is going to be a skill you're going to use in almost any industry you're in. So whether it's general research, quantitative, qualitative, working with data in particular is huge in the workplace right now, as well as managing research projects overall. You've got your problem solving, so complex problem solving and critical thinking and analysis. How do you break down a problem and work through that effectively? Self-management. So your ability to kind of stay on top of your own learning, be resilient, tolerate the stress that comes with midterm season and final season, developing that flexibility and adaptability. All of these are important skills, as well as working with people. So even the ability, as you're doing those group projects, as you are working with your peers in their classroom, the ability to read and understand others, to collaborate and work together, and to provide leadership when called for. These are all skills that you're developing, whatever degree you're taking at UTM. Next slide. So in terms of self-knowledge and career exploration, if you're feeling really uncertain about this, I do think talking to people is important. Friends, family, people in industries of interest. But if you're feeling a little stuck and you're not sure where to start, career counseling is a really great non-judgmental space. We won't put pressure on you to pursue one particular career. We won't judge if you have a passion that doesn't align with what people think is good in the labor market. We like to give you space to really discuss your skills, strengths, and preferences, and generate career ideas. So a few different resources I have on here that you can use to explore careers. You can learn more about labor market information through the Job Bank website, which is a Government of Canada website. You can use the National Occupation Classification System website. There is a search engine that we've linked on here where you can search careers based on skills and interests. We do have a careers by major page where you can also access careers by major to kind of figure out, okay, I'm in this major. What are some common career paths students have taken? We have a live chat where you can kind of check in, usually during business hours. So like 10 to 4, Monday to Friday. You can type in our live chat on our website for immediate answers. And then we do have other career assessments through the Career Center as well. Next slide. And when you're thinking about, what are my program options? One of the things that we think about with the Career Center is certainty versus clarity. So sometimes people are like, I'm really certain I want to take this program, but they don't really know the why behind it. They don't really have like a solid reason that connects with things like your strengths, your values, your weaknesses, and your interests. And so that's some of the stuff that we're often working on in career counseling, is to help you see not only like, yes, I want to take this program, but I also know that I want to take this program because I know it aligns with my strengths and my values and my interests, and that, I'm not going to be struggling through this program. So it's important to really just think and ask yourself, what motivated me to consider this program or career? How do these motivations connect with who I am? And then are there other careers that are more suitable for me? And again, we're happy to help. You can make an appointment with a career counselor to explore the different options that are possible with a lot of different programs. Okay. So, when you're thinking about your career, of course, we want you to do that exploration and that research, that self-exploration, kind of understanding what's out there, but get involved, whether it's work or volunteer or your co-curricular activities. Those are going to help you build skills, build up your resume, make you a strong candidate for further education or further work after graduation. And then, of course, remember the value of your degree and all those transferable skills you're getting, regardless of what program you're in. So next slide, we'll talk about further education options. For folks who are considering further education, a couple of caveats I have for you. So first, a lot of times students will think, if I'm in a degree that is more general, so for example, sometimes students will say, if I'm in a science degree, or if I'm in a sociology degree, I can't do anything unless I go and take further education. And I just want to pause here and debunk that myth. Lots of people have very successful and satisfying careers, transitioning directly from their undergrad into career paths without further education. A key thing is how do you leverage your experience, your connections, the different resources available while you're in university. However, there are some careers that may require further education. If you want to become a lawyer, you have to go to law school. There's no way around that, right? So in that case, you want to consider further education options based on what aligns with your goals, your interests, your finances, all of those different things. And if further education really is aligned with your goals, explore the options that will allow you to achieve those goals. One really overlooked area of further education that I think is very valuable is postgraduate diplomas and certificates. Sometimes, unfortunately, we may not meet the requirements for a graduate program like law school or medical school. They are very competitive programs. But taking a postgraduate certificate or diploma will still be utilizing your undergrad degree because your undergrad degree is still required to get into that. They're often shorter and more practical experience-based, very much less expensive than grad school, and they offer different career paths as well. So things like paralegal, project management certificate, that sort of thing. We also have industry-based certifications, so things like the CFA, the LEED certification that you could look into. These are not things that are run through formal education institutions, but often by an industry industry organization. And then there's continuing studies programs and micro-credentials as well. So if you want to get some more specific knowledge in a key area, you can take continuing studies and micro-credentials as an option. Okay, next slide. So I just want to pause here. I think a lot of people have often seen this illusion that like success is kind of like an iceberg. We only see the top 10% of it. And we don't see all the other hardships, the struggles, the persistence, the dedication, all the things that go into that. And so, if you're feeling like, oh man, like I just had a setback and I'm feeling a little bit down, will I ever reach that success? Absolutely, that's still possible. There's never, I'm a big believer, there's not ever just one path to get to your goals. And I think that's super important. And, that's what we're all here to support you with at UTM is like helping you develop those good habits, that hard work, that dedication, and figuring out a path that even if it doesn't look like the traditional path can still get you to that success that you are hoping for. Next slide. So next step, so I'll do the career counselor one and then hand it over to the folks in academic advising, but you can meet with a career counselor to discuss career and program alternatives. So if you have a career in mind and you want to know what programs will help me get there, we're happy to support with that. Next steps after graduation, how to prepare for these next steps as you go. So if you're thinking, I want to go to a professional program, how do I navigate if I need to do a late withdrawal or anything like that? We can help you kind of figure that out, or how to overcome obstacles and challenges. And I've been talking about career counselors a lot, but we also have employment strategists. And they're more focused on the how. So they'll help you get the opportunities, they'll review your resume, they'll help you prepare for interviews, to help you get the experiences you need to build your career. And I'll turn it over to Safa. Your mic is on.
Yes, thank you, Jamie. Yeah. All right. So just like the examples and the scenarios, the students we have talked about, when considering your next steps, you might want to come and meet with an academic advisor to discuss your academic strengths and areas of interest. We can help you understand program entry requirements and creating a plan to reach your goals. Well, ultimately, the decision of which program pathway to choose is yours. We can help you and provide, we can bring and can support you through the process and bring forward aspects or options that you may not have considered that you can now look into. We can also help you review your CGPA using the CGPA calculator to help you assess your CGPA and map out your CGPA goals, and help you as well navigate and understand the academic calendar and the different options and tools that you have access to help you with transitioning to your alternate program plan or create a realistic and obtainable academic plan to move forward. Great, next slides. And we'd like to also highlight some resources and services that are available through the Office of the Registrar. The UTM Office of the Registrar website is a great resource that has a lot of information about the different topics we've discussed today and other information pertaining to enrollment, academic and financial deadlines, petitions. And so I do encourage you to visit our Office of the Registrar website and go over the different information that are accessible to you there. You may also visit our webinars and group advising page, which you can check to see if there's any upcoming event or workshop, just like the one you're attending today, or for example, our virtual drop-in FAQ Fridays. Or you may choose to view past recordings of sessions that we've held before. Just as we mentioned, we will be recording the session and we post them on our webinars and group advising. So if you wish to revisit that and review the information shared, that's a great place to visit. And we also have various ways for you to connect with an academic advisor if you wish to speak with us. You may visit Ask Registrar to submit a ticket if you have a question that would be addressed through a ticket response. If you wish to book an appointment, you may do so by visiting Ask Registrar and selecting either the in-person or virtual appointment section to book an appointment and choose a time that works for you. Or you may use and connect with us through the CS Today option, which will be launching soon. So stay tuned for that. And I'm gonna pass it over back to Jamie for the Career Center resources and services.
Okay, so we have a few different resources to highlight. On this slide, I'll show kind of the overall ones. So the Career Center website is tons of different resources on anything from resumes and cover letters to different tip sheets on further education, applying to grad school, networking, all that good stuff. We also have the Career Learning Network website, CLNX. A lot of you might know it as, or some students call it clinics. And basically on there, we have job postings, but we also have different events that we host. When we have a lot of employers on campus you can meet with. Sometimes we have hiring events where they're on campus. Sometimes it's more network and information gathering events. All that can be found on our website. If you want to book an appointment, particularly for career counseling, your best bet would be to email careers.utm@utoronto.ca. You can also phone at 905-828-5451, or you can drop by our front desk in the Student Services Hub, Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And then I have some more specific resources on the following slide. So on this slide, we do have a career wellness resource. Many people might have seen Dino walking around campus. He is our assisted therapy dog. We offer pause and unwind sessions where you can come and just connect with Dino, enjoy some, time with the dog if you are maybe away from home and missing your pets. And then I think Dino actually sometimes comes to some drop-ins with the Office of the Registrar and the Career Center. So you might also see him there. But we have that resource. Another one, next slide. We have career talks. So we have the opportunity for you to talk to either a peer, so that's someone who's currently an undergraduate student at UTM, or alumni, so folks who have graduated from their undergrad at UTM, to ask career-related questions from people who have been in your shoes. So it's a really kind of safe, non-judgmental space to just ask and get the perspective of someone who's been where you are. And then the last thing I will mention on the next slide is we really want you to just stay connected. And if you can't come and see us in person, just be aware of our online resources. So again, our website is on here. CLNX is on here. And then My Career Center Online, which is a great space for kind of self-directed career exploration and learning. You can sign up for that. There's a link here. And you can sign up through Quirkus, and it's an online Quirkus course, not for credit. You won't see it on your transcript. It's just available for learning as you need it. Okay, and I think that's it for me. Any final thoughts from the OR?
For now, but thank you everyone for joining. I hope this was a very informative session for you. We do have a couple of minutes left, so we'll transition into our Q&A. So I'll pause the recording.